Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Ling, the co founder of AI Draw. Ling Li's journey from a childhood passion for 80s and 90s computer gaming to his role as an AI entrepreneur is a captivating story. In those pre internet days, Ling honed his coding skills by hacking game code, revealing an early knack for creativity and innovation. His gap year at Inmos, a company pioneering transputers, exposed him to cutting edge technology, igniting his fascination with potential of computer power. After graduating from Imperial College in 1998, he ventured into the finance, designing trading systems with a plan of transition to the entrepreneurship later. Little did he know that his detour would span 2 decades. Finally, Ling launched his startup called AI Draw, which creates charming pet portraits using artificial intelligence. And his ambition is to expand it into other AI driven products. In this episode, Ling shares his journey, passion for AI, and the exciting world of AI Draw, where technology and creativity coverage the capture of essence of beloved pets. So I hope you enjoy it. Ling, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ashla. Pleased to be here.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you can share?
Yes, I think my quote would be to die with no regrets. So hopefully, having stepped out of corporatism, as you mentioned, and finally getting into startup, I will be able to tick that sort of box off as one of my many achievements in my life.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah. And as you shared this quote, I just remember I was watching one of the videos on some social media platform, I guess, and there was a study that a nurse interviewed many old people from care home, I guess, in UK, and most of the people they said that um, they regret losing their friends and not talking to their family. Right, one of the regrets they had when they grown old, and I totally get that. Like when you're in our age and you want to do something new, being a founder is an exceptional experience. Great. So tell us about AI Draw. What does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you're helping to solve?
Okay, so with AI at the moment, I think AI gives us a sort of ability to have superpowers. And so it's good to be able to embrace that. So particularly with AI Draw, I mean, I can't draw pictures to save my life. My daughter as well, who's 7, she absolutely adores animals and what have you. But previously we were living in a very pokey flat in London, so we weren't able to, sort of draw to be able to own a pet and what have you. So one evening I thought, oh, let's sort of do some tools and sort of play around and have the ability to kind of like create images of pets and things in sort of fun and entertaining ways and stuff to kind of keep my daughter entertained on those sort of cold winter nights. And so the idea came about through kind of getting an AI that can draw images, but to also fine tune an AI to learn about images and from different pictures. So what our system does is we take multiple pictures of a pet at different angles, get the AI to learn those sort of features, and then it can combine those features into sort of new sort of forms of artwork and so forth. So one example is we can kind of recreate that pet as a Van Gogh, of artists that that us mere mortals could not even hope to have portraits done of. So I think that's something that's quite special, quite amazing. That it gives the ordinary person ability to have a grandmaster at their fingertips, if you like. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
something very exciting in the AI space.
Great stuff. So I see a lot of AI tools online, which and you can correct me if I'm wrong, where you can actually type words that what you want to draw. Is AI Draw similar to that, and how does that actually it works?
Yes, so yes, we do use a similar sort of thing where you type in sort of text. But we realize sometimes what we're trying to do with our product is to make it super simple for the end consumer to use, in particular the pet space. Not everyone is, I suppose, as technical as myself and our peers are. I think I certainly live in an AI bubble and a tech bubble, and actually, so and the end consumer, all they potentially want is, I'd like to have a picture of my pet in this style, maybe with a fun sort of picture on it. So maybe they want a picture of their cat with a hat on it, or maybe they want a picture of their dog wearing a Santa hat. So so then what our software does is we pre-package some of these text prompts, if you like, into sort of manageable, easy to select and choose. Sometimes I think people can get overwhelmed with just a sort of type anything you like, really, and it sort of makes it hard for people to decide what they want. Whereas I think if you give them a selection of choices, it helps to um, bring adoption a lot easier and a lot quicker. So it's probably a little bit like if you're going to your favorite restaurant or in sort of Gordon Ramsay, where he's helping all these restaurants. You have some restaurants which have a menu of like 100 different items, and he's like, well, just reduce it down to 3 items or 4 items,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and it makes it super simple for people to go and start to embrace and learn how these things work. And then later on, you can make it more complicated, make it have more advanced features and so forth. But it's we're still very much in early days yet. I think like for ChatGPT, perhaps for some of us that's quite popular. But I think the statistic in America is that only 18% of people in America have actually used ChatGPT, despite its um, uh, despite all the excitement that has been happening in the last year.
Interesting, interesting. So basically, if I go on a tool and then I want to generate an imaginary or a clip art or something, I have to think what should I type. But with AI Draw, I don't have to, because AI Draw gives me the ability to pick things up from the user interface in a way that it automatically reflects my creativity, but also gives me an hand, helping hand. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, yes. So what our system does is you upload pictures of your pet, and then you basically get to choose from a range of different styles. So we've organized things from like different artists, from different genres, from different art sort of history movements, through to sort of fun things, seasonal things. So what we plan to do with sort of Thanksgiving, Halloween coming up was to kind of have some Halloween themed images, and with Christmas coming across, there's plenty of options for Christmas
Yeah.
related themes, and very seasonal as well. So you can imagine Valentine's coming up next year, that kind of stuff. So that we sort of take some of the what do I want to draw and sort of maybe sort of simplify that, and sort of then also optimize the prompt, because also depending on what you type, you can also get better or worse images. So there's still a sort of a refinement and a bit of a sort of a prompt engineering skill, as the sort of industry talks about.
Mm, mm. Got it. Got it. Tell us more about what is your business model? How are you thinking to generate the revenue with this product?
Yeah, so we have like a few options here. So we not only do we generate the images for people to use as their own personal gallery, so we'll obviously charge us a small fee for that. We're also looking to investigating into turning that into products. So, for example, we can turn from a digital picture into sort of a gift, for example, like a customized piece of wall art or greeting
Hmm.
cards. And this gives you a sort of a level of personalization that is never before possible. We've been speaking to a gift card manufacturer, and they tell us that they get a lot of people buying their pet picture cards simply because the card of a particular dog looks like their own dog. And it's like,
Mm.
well, actually now, if you could, have the ability to literally take a few photos of your dog and actually generate, maybe it's your dog's birthday party you're having, and you actually have a picture of your dog in a really cool art style, wouldn't that be quite amazing? And then you've got something super personalized and that's super individual and super unique, really. So I think AI gives us this ability to then have personalization at the individual level, and in particular, sort of print on demand services, certainly in the print industry. People are moving away. So when you think of printing and newspapers, you think of these big factories where, newspapers are produced en masse. But now you're getting, we're moving away from that to sort of these big warehouses that can, print literally, a single cup like this I have here. This is like a
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
product that's individual and tailorized. And I couldn't draw a picture to save my life, but if I could somehow get a machine to help me draw something fun and amazing, then that gives me ability to then create a unique gift for a friend, for example, that that rather than having to shop or around, I can have a play around, and I've got a sort of a grandmaster at my side to help me make something
indeed,
really unique and never before
indeed,
seen in the world.
indeed. Great. So, is it currently completely bootstrap, or have you already taken some funding or you know?
Yeah, so we were initially bootstrapped, and then we've recently just raised a small friends and family round. I think our main problem is, it's funnily enough, it's not the tech, and it's more the marketing, the sales marketing, getting people to know about us, and getting out there really. As a tech person, I feel like it's the tech seems to be the easy bit, and then the going out and selling seems to be
Mm.
the harder bit. Maybe partly as technical engineers, we tend to be more introverted in our
Yeah.
demeanor. So that's hopefully some of the funding will help to kind of remediate that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And I want to talk about you also. Like, how was your uh, how was your bringing up, childhood, etc. But before we go into that, let's first cover so you mentioned that you wanted to have a nice moment with your daughter, and that's where you had this epiphany where you started working on this product idea. When you had this epiphany, did you looked into the market? Were there other products? What was going on that time? What did you see from your research that encouraged you to do this and you moved ahead with it?
Yeah, so at the time, so this was so basically about a year ago, Stable Diffusion released open sourced version of the image
Mm,
generation, and prior to that, there was like some very early models, the DALI space and so forth. But obviously, all that was very much proprietary and very much out of the hands of us mere mortals. So we kind of looked at the Stable Diffusion model, stability AI that we produced, and it was very interesting to be able to then, now that the sort of almost the sort of common man could have access to sort of this technology, and so from then, having played around with this and initially creating very simplistic images, and then finally realizing actually then it still takes a bit of skill to kind of get the right sort of prompts. It dawned upon us that it'd be quite good to be able to make this more accessible even to the average person on the street. I think even within the sort of AI space, we're still very much in the sort of, I guess, the minority of people who do use this. Although I suppose it's become much more and more mainstream, I'd say.
mm, mm. And apart from making it easier for the end user, is there any other uh, features AI Draw offer to the customers, or this is one of the primary one, and then you're looking forward to get more?
So our primary one, so basically we're working on obviously making sort of fun pictures, but the next thing we're working at is doing video. So for example, we
Mm,
have ability to, right now, if I record a video. So one thing I did, I don't know if you remember back in the 80s, there was a band called Aha, and in their music video, it was like a halfway between a real world and sort of almost a virtual world. So they sort of jump into this sort of almost like a mirror, and suddenly they're in this sort of animated sort of world and what have you. So we've been working on sort of some technology which allows us to convert video into sort of
mhm,
stylized sort of graphics and colors and so forth. So for example, if I wanted to turn a video of yourself speaking, we could turn you into sort of an anime cartoon. Um,
mm,
I suppose in some ways this is in the movie industry would be, I think, known as rotoscoping, where back in the day you'd have like film, and then you'd have someone put a stencil over that film and color it in, and then you keep repeating that, and then you eventually have a, you have the sort of the video and in a sort of a stylized format. So we have some ability to do this digitally now, and it's still very much in the sort of a product market fit sort of stage. So we're still very early thinking, well, we've built all these sort of things, and what do we do with it, really, I suppose. But this is one of
Yeah,
the I guess exciting things of
yeah,
of startup, is doing something a bit
yeah.
innovative. And
For to be fair, for AI draw, have you ever heard about blush designs?
I haven't, no. Tell me more.
Yeah. So blush designs are very big, and what they do is they let you create in they let you create graphics for your web. For example, these cartoons just sitting in front of computer typing something, or doing payment from your mobile phone, or walking in a park, right? These kind of cartoons. So what you do is you select the face, you select the hair, you select the dress, and then you select the movement and etc. And then when you select it, you can download it. What I was thinking is, if AI draw could do similar, you know, you have your pet picture, because your pet is your represent like a representation for your business. For example, you put the pet's picture, and then you potentially select what kind of body you want it to be with, like say a male or female, human or aliens, and then you just make that picture do something. For example, drinking coffee. This you can sell easily, making packages for startups, because the startups always need these kind of graphics on their web pages to explain what they're about. And what is more funny than having their own pet on the pictures, right?
Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting application.
Yeah.
We'll go away and work on sort of our V2.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I help a lot of I have a lot of founders in my community, and I help them out for putting their online identities online. And they always ask me about the graphic. I'm not a graphic guy. I can do tech, but graphic design is very, very expensive. You go out, you design something, and you come back. If you give them 5 or 6 clips for free, they will easily buy the remaining if they want to upgrade, something like a
Mm.
freemium model.
Ah,
So
interesting. Okay, that's an interesting
that
idea.
could
I have to
be
explore that.
interesting. And then as you mentioned that you're already working on the video part, let me tell you one thing. We have kids in our houses, and they all watch this coco something, the coco melon cartoons,
Okay. Oh,
right?
yes, yes.
Yeah. And if you enable me to represent as a cartoon in front of camera and do something, and then I record a background music, I am making cartoon for my kids with AI.
Ah, for both
That is
yourself as the actor, yes.
exactly,
So
because
you
I
can
don't have
control
to
the content.
I don't have to paint it on the iPad and then do the framing. It's all there. So it makes my
Yes.
life super easy, right? And I can make cartoons for my kids, which I want them to teach, because they watch cartoons all the time.
Yes, that's right. Yes, finding the sort of right cartoon material, and that's also,
Yeah.
an exciting. As a parent, I think it's always a challenging thing, because you want to make sure they're watching educational things and so forth. And so if you can suddenly
I,
make your own cartoons at home with its own
I
morals
would,
and values, that's a great application.
yeah, I would easily pay $10-20 a month for it if you let me create, let's say, 3 hours of recording with it, by
Yeah.
AI, with the help of AI. Because then I don't have to depend upon time consuming cartoon drawings on my iPad and then publishing it as a movie. So that
Interesting.
could be
Okay.
one of the use case for you.
Yeah, yeah, that
Great.
sounds
So
exciting.
yeah. So let's go one step back then. I'm eager to learn more about the person behind this innovative venture. Can you take us back to your roots? Share with our listeners about your upbringing, your childhood. How did your early experience shape your journey and eventually led you to become the entrepreneur today? And were there any key influences from your family or surroundings that played a significant role in shaping your entrepreneur spirit?
Sure. So the entrepreneurship. So I guess my parents were immigrants from Hong Kong to the UK. They ran their own business, Chinese takeaway. And since I was a child, we were always helped out seeing family sort of family business. But also, I grew up in the 80s and I was very fortunate to be able to have access to, back in the day, sort of Atari 400s and Spectrum 48Ks and all this sort of stuff. This is classic 8-bit programming and that kind of stuff. And I suppose the programming and also the hacking games and trying to give yourself infinite lives and all the kind of stuff, that
Mm,
was a very fun thing back in the days. Um, then so I kind of always instinctively felt that seeing my parents, they were their own, they forged their own way, they ran their own business, they're effectively entrepreneurs. Not quite the sort of Silicon Valley scale, but they had their own business. They were effectively master of their own destinies, and
mhm,
they were hardworking. And I think that hard work ethic kind of boils down because you see from your parents, the hard work they put in, and it sort of instills the same in yourself. And there's very much trying to excel and what have you. And so that so as from a young age, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but then equally, I suppose, having done all the university and excelled there and ended up in corporatedom. My plan originally was only to be in corporatedom for a couple of years, and this is
mm,
around sort of the 99.com crash and what have you. And for some reason, corporatedom, they always seem to give you a bit more every year to kind of keep you there, and then suddenly, before you know it, it's 20 years on, and you're like, what am I doing still here? That being
mm,
said, though, it was very exciting times. We were running distributed compute systems at one point across 3 data centers. This is back in the sort of 2000, no, even 2000, back in 2005. So they're really sort of like, you know, at the time would have been quite amazing to have 10,000 compute engines running. And now, people have, the likes of the big startups and what have you, they have like, tens of or hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA H100 GPUs doing all this
right,
amazing AI stuff. So it's always
yeah.
been quite fascinating to have, the distributed compute and be able to have, all this machinery to kind of, solve exciting problems. So, but in terms of AI, it's always been very much an interest to me. Just basically more from I think more from the thought. I think growing up playing computer games and realizing actually, well, wouldn't it be great if you just get the computer to play the computer games, because then you could free up time for yourself to do other things, and then also win at it. And so that in itself was a sort of a challenge in some ways. And I think I suspect a lot of people in the AI space probably came from a similar background to myself of, wanting to computer to play, sort of, and to play and to win. And a lot
Mm.
of these algorithms are very much effectively optimization problems, and that manifest themselves. It's a very fascinating space and to be in right now.
Awesome. That's great. So basically, you always had your parents around you who were already entrepreneurs. So that actually fed that entrepreneurial spirit into you since from the beginning. And then you went to the university, you finished your education, you did work with a lot of corporate companies where you had this opportunity to fiddle with these distributed systems. And then finally, being in the AI era, you decided to go with AI Draw. That's really good. So, are you looking for okay? Let me divide this question into two parts. Are you looking for funding, or are you looking for investors to invest into your business? And then give us the sense of the size of the business, where you are in terms of the number of customers and the size of the team.
Okay, cool. So we've just literally raised a small friends and family round. As we mentioned, we bootstrapped. Of course, if we're looking at that sort of that product market fit at the moment, so we've got all this amazing technology, and it's like, okay, we've got all this. Well, what do we do with it? And we're trying to. So I guess our current mission for the next few months is to try to find that product market fit. What resonates, what works well, and then once we get that, we can start generating. We've generated a tiny bit of revenue. It's not a huge amount, in the order of, I don't know, hundreds of pounds, I suppose. It's been mostly R&D phase at the moment. But once we get to sort of a point where we can see a bit of traction, then for sure we would be interested to sort of look to to raising the next round to scale up and really go for it. I guess I'm more pragmatic. I suppose it's more about trying to find something that works from a financial sense, rather than just kind of raising money and kind of always inventing, I suppose. There's
Yeah.
got to be a sort of like a application to it at the end of the road. So we're at this sort of interesting product market fit, which is an interesting and challenging time to be in. But yeah, if we can find that sort of hit that sweet spot, then it's then we'll be off to the races, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. And I noticed that you mentioned that being a tech guy, you thought that creating the product was an easier task comparing to marketing it and selling it. What kind of challenges you're facing in terms of marketing and spreading the word at the moment?
I think the marketing is one of the challenges. Is it depends on like your reach. So in this product particularly, it's you could argue it's a B2C product. So basically, you're selling to the end consumer, which means you need to reach many end consumers to make it work. But to reach for that, then obviously there's your social media channels. So you could spend a small fortune paying for advertising through Meta and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Or equally, you could say, well, we could use influencers. And so, but then equally, there's a time because you have to reach out to those influencers, find the right sort of influencers, have the right affiliate programs that would work for them. So that in itself is, almost like it's not quite a tech problem. It's more sort of a reaching out problem and so forth. Or even sort of, I guess, advertising. So in the pet space, speaking to sort of pet magazines and things like that, and just, maybe very old school kind of being a digital company feels a bit old school to go and advertise in sort of magazines and what have you, but maybe that can work. So it's trying out all these different things, and of course there is a cost associated with it, and even things like, we could build SEO, and SEO is free. But my argument is, well, actually, SEO isn't free. You still have to write the articles. You still have to optimize your website to be, page ranked 100. Optimize at optimal speed, and it still takes time because Google has to index it. You have to build up your backlinks and all this sort of stuff. So all these different sort of marketing things, they all take time. They will all take some amount of money, whether it's money in terms of your own time spent to build up the system, or spent to sort of for outreach. So all these activities, I guess it's quite as a tech person, somewhat distractionary in some ways. It's needed, but it's a sort of a necessary evil in some ways. So, but hopefully, but there's lots of marketers out there, I think, that would look at the tech and go, "Wow, how do you do that?" I would have no idea what a tech person does. So hopefully, maybe out there's some marketers out there who are like, "Oh, this sounds interesting. I can totally sell this sort of stuff." And if there are, then give us a tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have lots of investors, founders, as well as marketing experts, marketing gurus in our community. So definitely, if somebody likes your product, they will definitely get in touch with you via LinkedIn or something like that. We will discuss about it later. But okay, great. So tell us more about your team. How many people are there in the team, and what is your role, and what are their roles?
Okay, cool. So in my team, there's myself. Obviously, I'm sort of co-founder, CTO side. Recently, as well, my co-founder Nick, who's from also went to university together. He studied mech-eng, but spent the last couple of decades actually working in digital marketing and so on. So he's luckily the chap who's looking after the digital marketing side of things and doing all the outreach and all that kind of stuff, and trying to help find that product market fit. And whilst
Yeah.
he's doing that, I'm sort of refining the product. But we also, I suppose, what we've been doing is bringing on board. I have a intern as well. I suppose not an intern, but a junior now, Zoe. She's obviously. Myself being in my 40s and not really understanding TikTok and social media and things like that. So I have one of our youngest member staff, Zoe, who's in her early 20s, is helping doing sort of web design, social media, marketing, helping us understand how TikTok works, what goes off in the mind of sort of millennial, Gen Z people and so forth. So it's quite good to have a sort of a team like that. So we are only sort of 3 at the moment, but if we hit that spot, then and then we can happily grow.
Yeah, yeah. The growth is like a job, hockey stick. Because once you get a traction, enough traction, then investor will just run after you. So you shouldn't worry about it. The most important bit is to get the product market fit, and then figure out a revenue generating model for your product.
Mm. Feels like the hardest bit.
Yeah, exactly, and I totally agree with you. Okay, great. So we have talked about the product. We have talked about how you're trying to generate some traction to it. We have talked about the team members, etc. What I would like to know more from you is what throughout this journey of you creating this product, finding a co-founder, or I don't know if you already had a co-founder since from the beginning. There must have been some valuable lessons learned, right? If you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experiences that tell us about, I don't know, some mistakes you have done, some setbacks that are encountered along the way, and additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
I think probably one of the things I would look back and sort of redo is to try and figure out if I could have customers before spending a lot of time and effort building all the tech. I mean, as a tech person, I love building tech. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely enjoy that. And so, but if putting all this sort of effort in and then looking for customers afterwards, it feels like we could have actually very easily put together a simple web page, try to figure out how to get that market in, collect a whole bunch of emails of people who are interested ahead, and then build that way first, and then build the tech out afterwards. I think that's one thing that we could have done. Or alternatively, had I had built a sort of a social media gathering or following, then that would also be a good way to kind of then build an audience that would resonate with what you're going to build, or what your future product might look like. Whereas I suppose here we're sort of built the product, and now we're trying to find the
Yeah,
audience for it, which I suppose, like I guess from classic startup school, it's probably not quite the way you should do things. But if you enjoy the tech, then it's that sort of
yeah.
that's the tech itch that you enjoy. So
To be fair, Ling, a lot of successful founders teach us or can communicate via different channels that you have to find the customers first and then do the product. But if you look at the most successful product in the whole world, they created the product first and tested the waters. So I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying they had past experiences, they failed into their experiences, and then they created this new product, and then they reached out to the customers. And that is perfectly fine to do. And I totally appreciate the fact that, yes, you need to find the customers first, but it also depends upon what kind of product you have. For example, for B2B, it's very difficult to find, sorry, for B2B, it's very easy to find customers first before creating the product. Whereas in B2C it's very difficult, because B2C customers usually want your product to see, or at least use a trial version of it. I have a couple of startups myself, and in the B2C space I can understand the pain. It is very difficult to penetrate yourself into the market and then also sustain, because B2C is so competitive.
mm. Yes, I think that is the other thing. I would probably definitely, if I was going to do another startup, I would look to do a B2B product. And so, rather than having to sell to hundreds of thousands of customers for a small price, I, have a few larger corporates that I could then sell as a bespoke product to. But equally, I think this is quite a fun, exciting product, as opposed to in some ways maybe I'm perhaps a little bit jaded in the corporate space, but I've probably had my fair share of Excel spreadsheets and running systems 24/7 and being on support call and all that kind of stuff. That
Yeah.
it's actually quite a bit of fresh air to try a different area, and that's
And
but
it's also,
this is part of life really. It's all a
yeah,
learning.
it's also fun. B2C is a lot of fun because you can get a lot of PR when you're doing B2C. B2B, you won't get that much PR. And also B2C is good in terms of investment. Like, a lot of investors don't invest into B2C product, but there are a lot who do. And the ones who do, they're very big because they understand the girth of B2C market, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
So it's fun. It's a little bit difficult. I totally agree with you. B2C is a little bit difficult, but hey, we are here for everything: pain, success, fun. All, it's a package, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's yeah. If it was easy to do, everyone would be doing it, right? So, and
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
but equally, as I mentioned earlier, this is the startup has also given me some flexibility. So, obviously, I can, I spend a lot of time parenting, picking my daughter from school and dropping off at school. So that gives me that sort of time you will never get back. So I feel that's that for sure is worth it.
worth it. Definitely worth it. It's like when I go and see my kids and my family, it's amazing because then all of your stress for the whole day is just phew, it's gone.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, great stuff. So Ling, we are heading towards the end. So I would like to take you into the lightning round where I've got six quick fire questions for you, and you just have to answer them as quickly as you can.
Okay, I'll try my
Right?
best.
Great. Okay, question number one. What's one of the best piece of business advice you have received?
Best business advice I have received. Uh, don't get funding as keep wait as long as you can before you get funding, so at least you can be still the master of your own destiny.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good one. I can relate to that. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
I really enjoyed Um, I really enjoyed Tuesdays with Maury. It's just kind of a heartwarming book. It's a bit different to the usual startup and all the sort of tech books, but it's just a little bit about life and just reflecting on you know a little bit about when you leave this planet, what is the legacy you're going to leave behind, and what perhaps impact and what self achievements you have made and so forth. So it's been quite interesting.
Great. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
One characteristic, determination and grit, and hard work.
Yeah, yeah. I cannot tell you how many times um, uh, when I have asked this question to my guest, and they always said grit, grit, grit.
Yeah.
Great
Tenacity.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Favorite person, technical tool or habit. So I use Linux on my machine, and I have a thing called window manager called i3. It
Mhm.
means that I don't have to sort of drag and drop my windows to the right size. It automatically sizes it for me. So that saves me time, which I can then think about the code and everything is all laid out properly and everything. So tiling window manager.
But what is it called?
So the window manager is called i3. It's in a sort of a series what's known as tiling window managers. So if you imagine on Mac or Windows, your window pops up, you have to drag it, and you sort of put it this side, then you're having to put this side. So
Yeah.
with i3, you literally kind of start up, and then it's either full screen or it's on one side. You have a shortcut key and it puts it to that one side, and the shortcut key you can make a window 4, and that you don't have to use the mouse basically. So that minimize having to use the mouse as well is also a good productivity boost, I find. But it's not for everyone. You have to learn the shortcuts, and maybe that comes from playing computer games. You're getting that sort of muscle memory of moving things around quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Great, great. Okay, what's a new or a crazy business idea you would like to pursue if you had the time?
New or crazy business idea if I had the time. I'm already working on one. That's oh my goodness. That's the hard one, because I'm so involved in that sort of AI tech business. I would love to actually build a miniature Boston Dynamics robot. So imagine a little robot that you can build at home, and then take your old iPhones, because everyone has like old iPhones in the house, plug that, use the camera in that iPhone to then be the compute vision, and use the Bluetooth in that iPhone to then control a little robot they can have running around the house, and then recycle all that sort of technology that people upgraded to build a little robot that can just run around the house and do things. I think that would be quite fun, and sort of at least making use of some old tech that actually is still quite advanced, right? You've got a phone with 3G SIM card. You've got it could be sort of an interesting way of reusing some of this older technology that's still very capable.
Yeah, yeah, great. And the last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I am a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I suppose it's so yes, I throw myself out of planes, throw myself off of hills with mountains with paragliders, and kite surf and all kind of stuff. And I guess it's like you think a person who's behind the screen writing code all day, they must get out. But if I can, I'd love to. That's some of the things I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Ling, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story and unpacking last years of building this business and some of the up and down along the way. If people want to check out AI Draw, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, come check us out. Our website is https aidraw.ai, or you can drop me an email, ling@aidraw.ai. Happy to answer any questions. And yeah, everything is constantly evolving, so just drop us a note and say hi.
Awesome. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Can people come get in touch
Yep,
with you?
I'm on LinkedIn indeed. Yes, yeah. I can leave you a link perhaps. It's
Yeah,
Ling
sure.
Li is my is where I am on LinkedIn, and we also have an AI Draw LinkedIn company profile as well.
Mhm.
And we're also on all social media, so in TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. TikTok, we've also got a few of our AI videos, early generation. So we're hoping to put some new interesting ones when we get some more time.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Ling, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and impactful work you're doing through AI Draw. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on SaaS Stories podcast.
Brilliant. It's lovely to be here and to be invited. Thank you so much, Ash.
Cheers. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of our Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Ling insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. We have a lineup of incredible guests and valuable insights coming your way. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.